You may have remembered several years ago that a cash document showing how the wealthy were getting away with hiding their billions of dollars overseas came out and was immediately forgotten. So that was the Panama Papers. So there's a lot to do, about the Panama Papers and the secrets of the ultra rich and how they're screwing us over. And then the media was immediately like, okay, forget about that. Well, there's another one, another set of documents, which is actually much larger and again deserves more coverage than what we're getting now. So now, this document, this cache of documents, is known as the Pandora Papers, and it's been published by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. In what is being called the biggest ever leak of offshore data, cache of nearly 12 million documents published Sunday laid bare the hidden wealth, secret dealings, and corruption of hundreds of world leaders, billionaires, public officials, celebrities, and others. So now this document contains private emails, secret contracts, and other records obtained during a 2-year investigation involving more than 600 journalists in 117 countries and territories. So this is worldwide. Worldwide. So what they found was nothing more than a hive of scum and villainy, involving, of course, shell corporations, trusts that are legal to create, but can be misused because of lax regulation created by corrupt lawmakers, a lot of which happen to be in the United States. So this basically allows very, very rich people, world leaders, etc., to shield their assets from taxation and thus depriving, of course, countries, governments of much needed revenue to do things like, I don't know, serve regular people, regular human beings. So now, some of the current and former world leaders that feature in this are Russian President Vladimir Putin, Jordanian King Abdullah II, and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, among many others. So now, how they do this is they set up offshore companies, offshore trusts. So they set up the trust and they use that trust to buy shell companies, and where you cannot actually track where that money comes from because trusts are highly secretive. These shell companies then, again, will purchase things like property in other countries, as well as luxury items like yachts, as well as incognito bank accounts. There's even been reports in these documents of art that was looted from Cambodia. You also have paintings by Picasso and murals by Banksy that have been purchased through shell companies. I mean, how extensive this is wild. So now these trusts, we find out from the papers, are also located not just in places, I should say, like Panama, Dubai, Monaco, Switzerland, the Cayman Islands, the usual suspects, right? Turns out we got a lot of them right here in the United States. In fact, South Dakota, in particular, has sheltered billions of dollars in wealth linked to individuals previously accused of serious financial crimes. So now, again, you're looking at a lot of different leaders here. For example, Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, was elected in 2019 to clean up corruption. You're going to find that this is a theme here, is named in the leak. During the campaign, Zelensky transferred his 25% stake in an offshore company to a close friend who now works as the president's top advisor. Oh, interesting. Weird how that works out. Now, you have associates that are close to Vladimir Putin, who are named in the leak, including his best friend from childhood, the late Peter Kolbin, also known as Putin's wallet, and a woman the Russian leader was allegedly once romantically involved in. Andrei Babis, the prime minister of the Czech Republic, is a billionaire founder of agriculture conglomerate Agrofert. In 2019, he was elected the prime minister on a populist platform. But in 2019, Babis secretly paid $22 million for a chateau in a French villa near Cannes. I don't know if I said that city right. He routed the money through shell companies in the British Virgin Islands and Washington, D.C., and a real estate management firm in Monaco. Interesting. Now, it turns out London is also a pretty big hive of this kind of stuff as well, of this corruption. And a lot of deals go through London, but a lot of deals also, as I said, go through South Dakota. And this is just a sampling. This is a gigantic trove of documents. And so we're going to be seeing a lot of details here. So now, interestingly enough, there's a couple people who are missing. Turns out a lot of Americans are missing. Now the question is why? It shouldn't be surprising, you know, if we find out that our billionaires are hiding their money. I mean, of course they are. We know they are. So why aren't they in these papers? Well, experts told NPR that the U.S. has such low, embarrassingly low tax rates that our billionaires, they don't have to do this. They're just like, we already don't pay any taxes here in this country anyway. So why would we need to do this? Why would we need to create shell companies in South Dakota when we already pay such a low tax rate? Lowest taxes in the world, corporate taxes. Or at least some of the lowest taxes in the world. That it's just not worth it to them. So, and by the way, regulations also in this country is incredibly weak. So now there are two states in particular that come up, and that's South Dakota and Nevada. Researchers noted these states have adopted financial secrecy laws that rivaled those of offshore jurisdictions like the Cayman Islands. In that state alone, South Dakota, assets and trusts more than quadrupled over the past decade to $360 billion. One of the largest trust companies in the state, the South Dakota Trust Company, boasts a roster of international clients from 54 countries. Other states include New Hampshire, Alaska, and Delaware. All states that have laws that are very, very favorable to corporations and protect trusts from the claims of future creditors and allow them to stay, as I said, relatively secret, so no disclosure, which allows them to hide money from law enforcement agencies. Now, as I said, this is bigger than the Panama Papers. In fact, ICIJ Director Gerard Ryle says this is like the Panama Papers, but on steroids. It's broader, richer, and it has more detail. There's never been anything on this scale, and it shows the reality of what offshore companies can offer to help people hide dodgy cash or avoid tax. So as I said before, trusts aren't illegal, offshore companies aren't illegal. But the way that they're structured definitely leads to money laundering. And so, I don't know, maybe there's some regulation here. You might want to use it. So now, Shireen Abadi, a former FBI officer who served as lead agent on dozens of financial crimes, told the Post, quote, "The offshore financial system is a problem that should concern every law-abiding person in the world." Abadi pointed to the role that offshore accounts and asset shielding trusts play in drug trafficking, ransomware attacks, arms trading, and other crimes that they can't track because of the shady nature of trusts. These systems, she says, don't just allow tax cheats to avoid paying their fair share, they undermine the fabric of a good society. Nearly 30 of the trusts in the papers so far held assets connected to people or companies accused of fraud, bribery, or human rights abuses in some of the world's most vulnerable communities. An ICIJ said Sunday that the publication of the Pandora Papers stories comes at a critical moment in the global debate over the fairness of the international tax system, the role of Western professionals in the shadow economy, and the failure of governments to staunch the flow of dirty money into hidden companies and trusts, that the documents are expected to yield new revelations for years to come. So now the question here is, what's going to happen? Based on what happened with the Panama Papers? Nothing. Not a lot. And I'm going to be honest with you here. This is bleak. This is incredibly bleak. I mean, do you think that Republicans and corporate Democrats are going to shut this down by passing laws about transparency? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And again, this isn't technically illegal, but it's because they rigged the system. This is massive corruption. And again, you know, seeing what happened with the Panama Papers beforehand, I'm pretty sure the media, corporate media in the US, is going to try to bury this as much as possible. But what's the next scandal? What's the next scandal? Oh, I know, Twitch got hacked. Twitch, look at how much money Hassan Piker made. Claims he's a socialist, made $200,000. Oh my God, what a scandal. Please forget about all the billionaires and millionaires that are hiding their money in South Dakota. Forget all about it. Next one, next scandal. Please pay attention to something else, and don't actually tax us billionaires. Please. That's what's going to happen. This is embarrassing. It's embarrassing that we live in a country that can't afford to give people health care. Can't afford, say they can't afford Medicare for all. Can't afford child care. Can't afford free college. And yet is one of the biggest places where companies and billionaires go to hide their money. How are we not considered a banana republic at this point? I know we were the ones that originally made the banana republics, but now we are. We are wholly owned by corporations and the rich who have bought off our system. And by the way, this is embarrassing for Joe Biden. Why? Joe Biden ran on stopping offshore tax havens. Oh, wait till he reads this report. Not going to be happy about that, because it turns out we're probably one of the biggest tax havens on the planet. Might want to do something about that. You might want to actually, I don't know, fight against the corporations, fight against the owner-donors, as Nina Turner says, and create a government that is responsive to the people and not to the corporations. I have very little doubt that these corporate establishment politicians are actually new about this. It's embarrassing, and they're just going to want it to go away. Which is why I want to keep covering this story. I want to keep talking about this, and we should all keep talking about it. You should share this video and show people, and just to remind them, even if we all already know about this, because we all do, we feel it in our gut. We know that this is happening. We know we're getting screwed over by corporations every single day, and by the wealthy who are not paying their fair share. We know it. We know it. Well, it's time to get this together, and fight against the corruption in a legal way, in a way that is able to redress our grievances, calling our politicians, demanding an end to the corruption, and never stopping. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.